My name is Howard Berry. I'm the father of the late Staff Sergeant Joshua Berry. My son died of wounds that were sustained during the first Fort Hood shooting. This Thursday, November 5th, will mark the 6th anniversary, the date that Nidal Hassan murdered 13 and he wounded 32. Men and women from 23 different states were killed or wounded. I'd like to take a moment of your time and ask the American people what they think about some of this. The fact that this shooting was labeled a random act of violence in the workplace. How does that stand with you? It doesn't sit well with me. Nidal Hassan wandered through the wandered through the compound, killing men and women, screaming Allah Akbar. You know? The Army only represented those that sustained gunshot wounds. There were more than 12 soldiers that were injured, either protecting, seeking cover, keeping Hassan out of some of the buildings in the compound, or helping other people. They were left behind. My son was one of them. He took his life August of 2013. President Obama told him that he had his back. He didn't have his back. He told him he was going to get what he needed. Never happened. I don't understand. I went to D.C. I wrote every member of Congress. I had 225 co-sponsors for a House bill that never got voted on. From the chair I'm sitting in, you can't tell the Republicans from the Democrats anymore. The Democrats, the Democrats in the 113th Congress did not give a shit about the men and women that were killed and wounded that day. They didn't care. And the Republicans, well, when it came down to the nitty gritty, they didn't care either. They were just a little sneakier about it. That bill never got voted on. John Boehner never helped me get it on the floor, even though my son sat in the same classroom with his daughter in high school. I don't understand. I'm glad you're gone, Mr. Boehner. Your replacement, not any better. Paul Ryan, 5 of the victims were from Wisconsin, Mr. Ryan. I came to your office on 3 different occasions, and the only success I had was to get a sign posted on your door stating that if I didn't have an appointment, not to come in. You didn't co-sponsor the bill that the other 225 House members did. You went Bergdahl. You didn't even stand up for your own people. What do the American people think about that? The only reason that you got the speaker's job is that you're a better panhandler than the rest of them. That's what I think. The men and women in Congress today, shame on them. Shame on them. You know who you are. You know who you are. You didn't stand up. You didn't stand up for the very people that volunteered to protect your freedom. And you put some legislation in the NDAA that was a half measure. It did not tell the truth. It was not fair. It was not equitable. And I don't know what you call it. Here in Ohio, the silence was overwhelming. I heard nothing from Senator Portman. Senator Brown, he didn't support any of this stuff from day one. My own Congressman, Brad Wenstrup, silent. Steve Shabbat didn't say a word. Mr. Shabbat did call me last election day, and he said that when I mentioned that there had been 4 suicides since the shooting, that he would get back to me. I'm still waiting, Mr. Shabbat. I reached out to your people. Never have called me back. The lack of courtesy and respect, the lack of character, the lack of compassion, the lack of leadership qualities that you people have up there. You put yourselves first, then your party, and the special interest, aka the people that own your rear end, the ones that have bought you. You don't care about us. The folks that voted for you. Brad, you said that you were a veteran that stands up for other veterans. That's what you ran on. Well, my son was a vet. Going to D.C., it's either one of 2 things. It's either a Pinocchio festival or you're all a bunch of deaf mutes. And none of you have the character. And please listen to what I have to say, because I just don't grieve the loss of my son. I grieve the loss of the values. The loss of the values that you have sold off. You have compromised. You have sold this country out. And I can't understand how you can sleep at night. Folks like Pat Leahy, Senator Leahy, you wouldn't support the bill because you didn't want to unduly influence the appeal for the shooter. Sir, what about the victims? Senator Harry Reid, I came to your office on 4 different occasions. No one would meet with me. The last time I went, I took a book and I said, I have the next 2 days free. I'll just sit here and quietly read. Maybe someone will have a canceled appointment or feel sorry for the old man or come back from lunch early. Someone will sit down and talk to me. No one did. What happened is that I ended up having 5 people on your staff eventually telling me, trying to give me the bum's rush out the door. No one would meet with me. You should be ashamed of yourself, sir. You call yourself a leader? I don't think so. And the House of Representatives? Oh my gosh, everybody from Mr. Boehner, Mr. Ryan, the list goes on and on and on. The silence from the members of Congress from Ohio. Y'all said nothing. You said nothing when they announced that they were going to go ahead and award Purple Hearts and Freedom Medals, and my son was left off. And by the by, there were 12 other soldiers whose cases were under review to see if they qualified. Now, why did the Army get free rein to go ahead and rush through from December until February and set up this dog and pony show? They had the awards. They had the awards, but no benefits that went with them. Recall that? Senator Cruz had to jump up and down about that. And Senator Cruz, I appreciate all the help you haven't given me. I really do. And the same goes for Senator Cornyn. The members of Congress from the state of Texas. Oh my gosh, you folks. My son had Texas plates on his car the day of the shooting, and y'all didn't do a damn thing for him. Shame on you. Shame on you. You should reclassify what happened at the Alamo. Call that a random act of violence in the workplace. Y'all sold the American people down the road. Men and women that volunteer to defend our freedom, they take that oath. A lot of them aren't thinking about what happens if something bad happens. Is somebody going to have my back? The truth of the matter is, nobody's going to have your back. Nobody. The VA? Let's talk about the VA for a second. My son was treated at the VA. My son died while he was being treated at the VA. I testified at a congressional field hearing. The VA gave false testimony. They made statements that were totally inaccurate and were told that they must answer my questions. And you know what? They ignored that. And when I reached out to my congressman, Brad, I'm not bad, and asked him, well, how about putting their feet to the fire here, sir? Nah, never did. Nothing. Mr. Winster finally told me in a meeting to quit being a poster child, to turn the page and move on. It's just water under the bridge. Mr. Winstrup, that was my son. That was my son. Ask the American people, if this happened to your son or your daughter, what would you do? How would you feel? How would you feel? I have been lied to from the Army, the folks out at Fort Hood. Oh my gosh. You talk about a deceitful bunch. The DOD, Mr. Obama, Joe Biden. The best that his office could do was give me a fax number when I contacted them. I did fax them information and I sent it third party. I have confirmation. I never got a response. Thank you for not running for president, Mr. Biden. We don't need anybody like you in there. President Obama, written you a couple of times, emailed you. I don't understand, sir. I really don't. I guess you really don't care. You honestly just have You have no soul. You know, and you're just taking this country right down the toilet. Ask any vet, ask any man or woman in uniform what they really think of you. You suck at your job too. You condone this. You left a wounded soldier on the battlefield. And I don't understand what's wrong with this country anymore. I no longer believe. I no longer believe in the values that my father fought for and my son fought for. They don't exist anymore. You have sold them. So for those of you that still feel like the system works, yeah, I suggest having a loved one, someone you really care about, volunteer. Volunteer to defend our freedom. You know, ask any OIF, OEF vet what they think about our country. They deployed over and over and over and over again. They volunteered. They're the true heroes. We deserve better leadership. I wish I had my country back. We need to strike the last line of the Pledge of Allegiance. With liberty and justice for all. There was no justice for my son. There has been no justice for my family. Folks in D.C. want to be judged by their intentions and not their actions. Well, you know, I think their actions should be to get out. Take that American flag pin off your lapel, put a dollar bill on there. You should be wearing body cameras. Remember the Fort Hood victims. Remember the people that were left behind. Remember those that are still suffering. God bless. I miss my son. I also miss my country.